Hello, my lovely ladies, handsome gents, and non-binary folks. You are also welcome here on Talk to Dan Reviews. My name is Bo, and I like to talk about fragrance. Okay, welcome! Well, this is another one of my floral videos. Today I'm talking about the phlox flower. These phlox flowers are from my yard. I actually have a lot out there right now. But I only had about 4 of them that I thought were big enough to cut and bring in. And I've been doing these videos about flowers and the perfumes of different flowers that I have in my yard ever since I've had this channel for the last 2.5 years. I can't believe it's been that long. It really does go by so fast. I'm going to tell you, if you think about starting a channel of some sort, TikTok or YouTube or whatever, I mean, my advice would be to do it. When I started, I was a little nervous. I thought it was going to be overrun with trolls and nastiness and negativity. Very seldom is that the case. You know, very seldom. In fact, it's really the opposite. So I feel like, in fact, it's really a unique place of acceptance. And we're all experiencing this new phenomenon together, really, you know, because no one's ever really been able to do this in the history of time that we know of, in the history of the time on Earth that we know of. So, I mean, I feel privileged to be participating in it. And there's so many nice people, too. And thank you very much to all the really nice people who come and see me, because I really appreciate you. Okay, so today I'm talking about phlox flowers. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about the phlox flower before I tell you some fragrances that contain phlox. And there's something really interesting about all the fragrances, I think, that have phlox. Okay, the correct pronunciation, by the way, is phlox. It's spelled P-H-L-O-X. P-H-L-O-X, yeah. So I thought, oh, well, it's probably pronounced floss, right? Because it kind of looks like cotton candy. People call cotton candy candy floss, is what they used to call it, I think. I mean, before my time. But it is phlox. So, okay. In Greek mythology, the name phlox comes from the Greek word for flame and is associated with Aphrodite, symbolizing love and beauty. Aphrodite, eh? Aphrodite is responsible for a lot. Native American legend says phlox is a symbol of gratitude. Well, I sure am grateful for mine. The Victorian era, phlox were popular in bouquets and symbolized unity, harmony, and sweet dreams. I can believe that. And they were often given as a public expression of love or a mariage proposal in medieval times. Have you ever been to that medieval times? I have a medieval times story to tell you. There's that place, I don't know if you've ever, there's a place called Medieval Times where they have like horses. They do a big joust with like a fair maiden and guys on horses with, you know, they do this show, and you're in an arena, you sit in an arena, and they give you like chicken, and you gotta eat it with your hand. They don't give you utensils. You gotta eat it with your, you know, it's kind of, and then women come around and say things like, "Oh my lord, oh you're so funny, my lord." Not to me, to my date. Anyways, okay, I'll just tell you the story right now. I went on a date with a guy, with this really nice guy. When I worked in fragrance, he also worked in fragrance. And he asked me on a date. It was when I worked for Oscar de la Renta, and it was one of the stores that I visited, and he asked me on a date, and he was so nice, and he took me on a date, came to medieval times. He drove to where I lived, which was far away from there, and we went to medieval times, and we went in and we sat down and we were having a nice time. We had our picture taken at the front, like they do this thing. He was very generous, and something happened, and this never happened to me before, but something happened, and my lungs, my ability to breathe started to close off, and it really freaked me out. I was only in there we were served the meal, we were watching, we weren't there that long, and I couldn't breathe. I stopped being able to breathe, and I assume it was because of the horsehair. I really don't know, because I've never had that happen before from horses. I have no idea. Not that I'm like a horse girl. I'm not like spending a lot of time around horses. I'm not up there in the stable, but I've been through horses a few times, been around horses a few times, and animals, barn animals and whatnot, and I've never had that happen, but it was really weird. And so, the date ended early, and we just said goodbye, and it was so disastrous that I never ended up going out with him again. And I wonder if he thinks I did that on purpose to get away from him or something, because I would never ever do that, but I hope he didn't think that. It was funny. It's funny now, but at the time it was like, whoa. It was both scary and kind of sad. Moving on. In medieval uses, it was purported to have been used in traditional various medical practices like respiratory support, anti-inflammatory, digestive aid, wound healing, and blood purification. And the colors it comes in are white, pink, rose, red, magenta, purple, lavender, blue, and bicolors. So my pink one here is only one of a few colors, apparently. It is a late summer bloomer where I live in eastern Canada, and mine were not planted by myself. They were planted by a previous resident, and the neighbors always like to say, oh, when Mrs. So-and-so was here, the entire front was covered in daffodils. And it's always weird to hear people tell you how nice someone else had things. When you think you're making things look nice, it's like, thanks. Whatever, they're probably trying to be nice. I'm just sensitive. Flowers that smell similar to phlox are sweet alyssum, stock. I agree, they smell a lot like stock because I have grown stalks before. And I was a florist for a while too, so I remember that. Dianthus, which is basically carnation. It's a smaller little carnation, but it still has the same spicy carnation fragrance, and I think this also has that. Heliotrope, and they also, garden phlox sometimes have different aromas. And this also smells to me like another garden wildflower I have that I showed earlier in the season, or I've showed it somewhere in my floral stuff my floral videos called Dame's Rocket, or I forget the other name they have for it, but that's kind of similar to this. It looks similar. First I thought they were the same. They're so similar looking, but they're not. They're different. Okay, so now I'm going to tell you about some phlox perfumes, and there was something very interesting that I found. I thought, why is that? Okay, I've got let's see, there are 8 fragrances I found at Fragrantica that have a phlox note or accord in them, and they are, number 1, Myropol is the company, and the fragrance is called Phlox, and the notes for that are all one level: phlox, green notes, and musk. So that's Myropol Phlox from Russia. And then number 2 is Brocard, called from Brocard company, called Linden Blossom and Phlox, and that came out in 2023, and that's also from Russia. I'm sorry I didn't write the notes down. Number 3 is one called Odoratika Garden of the Sun, also from Russia, 2018. The 4th fragrance is called J Scent from Himari, and that is from J Scent is from Japan. And the interesting thing about this fragrance is that it is a fragrance that was born from a novel. So a line in this novel inspired this Phlox fragrance. And the line is, quote, "Sunbeams through the leaves and the witch." And it was written by Tokisaka. So that's kind of interesting. Number 5 is from The New Dawn, a fragrance called Shield, and that is also from Russia. And number 6 is Ladanika Flower Waltz, also from Russia. And number 7 is from Kazan Perfume Factory, Aromat. The fragrance is called Aromat, and they're also in Russia. And the last one is from Caswell-Massey, Tower Fall Fragrance Tonic, and that's made in the United States, and that came around in 2019. Now, oh, down here I do have all the notes. Well, I don't want to bore you guys. I know sometimes it's hard to really listen to someone talk about all the notes in each one, so maybe I'll skip that, even though I wrote it all out. Okay, I'll tell you. If you're still here, I'll tell you. But the one thing that really caught my attention about all those is that most of these fragrances were from Russia. Yet, I mean, the Phlox flower is not exclusive to Russia. So why is it only, or mainly, these are all from Russia except for 2, one from the United States and one from Japan. I feel like maybe other fragrance companies in other countries might want to use Phlox every now and then. Now I will say it's not a really, really sweet fragrance. In fact, most of these fragrances are considered shared, unisex, gender neutral. But yeah, so I mean, I can see how they lend themselves well to maybe a more masculine fragrance, but really, like, I couldn't find anything else that had Phlox in it except for these fragrances, so it's kind of interesting. So I'll just go over quickly. I already told you the ingredients of Myropol Phlox. Brocard, it's also all one level. That has grass, clover, cyclamen, rose, orange blossom, cedar, sandalwood, and palisander rosewood. Odoratika, everything's all one level. Phlox, peony, solar notes, blood orange, orange blossom, and white musk. Himari from J Scent. The top notes are green leaves, wisteria, pine needles, and bergamot. The middle notes are phlox, tea, peppermint, and the base notes are musk, sandalwood, vetiver, and incense. Shield from New Dawn. Top notes phlox, bergamot, jasmine. Middle notes orris root, patchouli, vetiver, rose. Base notes vanillin, oak moss, sandalwood, and musk. Flower Waltz, all one level. Hyacinth, lilac, heliotrope, phlox, carnation, violet, jasmine, ylang ylang, civet, rose, musk, atlas cedar, and vanilla. Atlas cedar. Kazan Aromat, top note phlox, bergamot, citruses, and jasmine. Middle notes patchouli, orris root, rose. Floral notes and vetiver. Base notes sandalwood, oak moss, and musk. Are you still with me? I doubt it. I realize this is a little bit boring. Got one more. and Tower from Caswell-Massey. The top notes are sage, red currant, and phlox. Mid notes, mineral notes, forget-me-not and violet. I have forget-me-nots in my yard and they don't have a fragrance. But sometimes different flowers that are by the same name have fragrances and some don't. And the base notes are cedar, pine, juniper, and amber. Woo! Are you still here? So that's my little video about phlox flowers. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're a flower person, let me know. Do you like this kind of video? Does it bore you? Because I really love flowers. Flowers are really one of my big things. And I just enjoy talking about flowers and how they relate to fragrances. Anyways, that's it for now. Please give it a like if you liked it. And subscribe if it's the kind of thing you like to do. And leave me a comment down below and tell me. I'd like to know. I've asked this before, but if you didn't tell me before, and even if you did, please tell me, what is your favorite flower? And if you created a perfume, a fragrance, what 3 notes would you put in that fragrance? Please tell me. Now, some of you guys that come and see me often, I so appreciate you. Please tell me what 3 notes you would put in a fragrance if you designed a fragrance. I think for me, off the top of my head, it would be, I thought I was done, but I'm rambling. But I really do want to know this. For me, you know, gardenia is one of my favorites. Tuberose, gardenia, tuberose, and citrus probably. But that's not even like, that's like, I'm almost ashamed because I know there are so many flowers that I love so much that it's like, oh, I'm sorry you guys, I didn't mention you. You know, there's so many great things. So you see, I can't even begin. You probably can't even begin either. But if you could just write those 3 flowers that you would use in a fragrance below, I would really appreciate that. So that's it for me, and I hope to see you next time.